Inflation hedging. What is that? Hey taxpayers, it's Tiffany Gonzalez CPA here, founder and CEO of Accounting to Scale, and today we're back with another installment of What is that? Where we discuss financial term and topics you may have heard, but we make them super easy to understand. Today, we're talking about inflation hedging, which has to do with protecting your investments against inflation. And these days, if you've been watching the news, inflation is such a hot topic. So you won't want to miss this video. Tune in and let's get started right at the beginning. Inflation hedging. What is that? According to the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, the official definition of inflation is when prices rise over a period of time on the same cost of goods. Hedge, by definition, refers to a protection or a defense, usually related to a monetary loss. So investors usually look for inflation hedge type of investments in order to have those investments increase at a higher rate than the inflation rate. In other words, if you invest in something, the rate of return of that investment is higher than the rate of the existing inflation in the market. Traditionally, gold and real estate investments have been the inflation hedge that investors love the most. The problem is gold isn't always readily available in the market, and it's not necessarily the best inflation hedge. Here are 3 really great options for inflation hedging. Number 1 is real estate. The reason for this is there will always usually be a demand for homes, demand for shelter in any kind of economic context. Also, when inflation rises, so does the cost of real estate and so does rents. Therefore, being a landlord or owning real estate is a great hedge against inflation. The second is Treasury inflation protected securities. These are bonds that are backed by the government. They are bonds that are actually issued by the US Department of Treasury, and they're meant to have an inflationary gauge in order to protect investors. Since they're backed by the US government, they're some of the safest assets to invest in. But if you've watched my other videos, you know that when an asset is typically not risky, that means the return is also not that high. So while you're being safe by investing into a tip, you're not necessarily going to get a large rate of return. And the third is diversification. This is for really savvy investors or investors who use a financial planner to help them diversify. Under the assumption that when the US economy is decreasing in a certain area, another area is likely increasing. You see, even during an inflationary period, there may be aspects of our economy that are actually having stable cycles and positive returns. Also, having a portfolio that is also globally geared might be a great way to hedge against inflation because you're invested in other markets, not just the US market. ETFs and mutual funds are great options as well for investments because they're investing in a basket of investments depending on the type of ETF and mutual fund. When making any investment, it's always important to talk to a certified financial planner or to a certified public accountant such as myself, because investment decisions can be very tricky. So there you have it, 3 ways to hedge against inflation. We hope you enjoyed this latest installment of What is that? Hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Accounting to Scale. Until the next video, your favorite CPA, Tiffany Gonzalez.